Russia-Ukraine gas transit deal ends. Why it matters. Kiev has refused to prolong its 5-year contract with Moscow despite appeals from EU states, whose energy security is now in jeopardy. Russia has officially stopped supplying gas to the EU through Ukraine as of Moscow time on January 1st, after months-long negotiations to extend the transit deal with Kiev fell through. Here is how this development came about and what it means for the European gas market. A host of EU states once received Russian pipeline gas via Ukraine's transit network under a 5-year contract between Russian energy giant Gazprom and Ukrainian state energy firm Naftogaz, signed in 2019. The deal entailed Gazprom transiting 65 billion cubic meters of gas through Ukraine in 2020 and 40 billion cubic meters annually from 2021 to 2024. It expired on December 31st. Ukraine had repeatedly declared that the deal would not be extended while its conflict with Russia is ongoing, despite concerns from European states that continue to depend on Russian energy. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal reiterated earlier this month that, as of January 1st, 2025, Kiev would stop transporting Russian gas and will only use its pipeline system to deliver gas from alternative suppliers. Ukraine's energy ministry said the flow of Russian gas through Ukraine has been stopped in the interests of national security. Gazprom announced early Wednesday that it has already halted supplies through Ukraine, noting that it was deprived of the technical and legal opportunity to keep up the gas flow due to the repeated and clear refusal of Kyiv to extend the transit deal. Commenting on the impending end of the deal last week, Russian President Vladimir Putin said Kyiv is punishing the EU by refusing to extend it, as the decision will result in higher energy prices. At his annual press conference on December 19th, Putin stated that even if the transit deal no longer exists, neither Russia nor Gazprom will be affected very much. Ukraine's transit network is connected to the pipeline systems of Moldova, Romania, Poland, Hungary, and Slovakia, and then on to Austria and Italy. Slovakia will be hit hardest by the halt in gas flows, as it relies on Russian supplies through Ukraine to cover around 60% of demand. Moldova, a former Soviet state and EU aspirant, could also be seriously affected by the end of the transit agreement, as it generates much of its electricity at a power station fueled by Russian gas. Russia also exports gas to Europe by sea, in the form of liquefied natural gas, as well as through the Turkstream pipeline. The route runs from Russia to Turkey via the Black Sea and then continues to the border with EU member Greece. It has 2 lines, one for the Turkish domestic market and the other supplying Central European customers, including Hungary and Serbia. Following the escalation of the Ukraine conflict in February 2022, the EU made it a top priority to curb its dependence on Russian energy. The bloc has boosted imports of pipeline gas from Norway and found alternative sources in LNG from Qatar and the United States. However, LNG imports are much more costly than Russian pipeline gas. Also, the bloc's LNG supplies are currently in jeopardy due to concerns over US President-elect Donald Trump's recent threat of tariffs on supplies to the bloc and Qatar's threat to stop shipments due to the EU's new legislation on carbon emissions. Many experts have warned that losing the gas transit through Ukraine could lead to a new spike in energy prices across the bloc. Citing an analysis by Slovakia's main gas supplier and trader, SPP, Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico warned last week that while gas supplies through Ukraine account for only 3.5% of EU consumption, any halt would disrupt the entire market. He noted it could raise gas prices across the bloc by around 30%, which would translate to an additional annual cost of 40 to 50 billion euros for European households and infrastructure. Russia has repeatedly signaled its readiness to extend the transit deal and continue gas deliveries through Ukraine beyond 2024, but Kyiv has been adamant in its refusal. German news outlet Handelsblatt earlier reported that the EU was considering signing a contract between Gazprom Export and a European energy company that could buy gas on the Russia-Ukraine border, send it to the EU, and pay the Ukrainian gas transmission system operator for transit, in order to eliminate the necessity for direct contracts between Moscow and Kiev. However, there has not been any confirmation of the report from officials, nor reports of any headway being made.